The night was quiet in Riyadh. Cristiano Ronaldo sat alone in his villa, the golden light from his trophy cabinet flickering across the room. Ballon d'Ors, medals, jerseys, relics of a career that had outshone every rival, yet staring at them, he felt no pride, only an emptiness that never left him. On the low table before him lay a small, faded photograph. A younger Ronaldo, maybe 17, hair messy, arm wrapped around a girl. Both were laughing, carefree, like the world outside didn't matter. He traced the edges with his thumb. She was the one, he whispered, almost to himself. But the walls, heavy with silence, gave no reply. The film of his past unrolled in fragments. Narrow street in Madeira, boys chasing a torn football. Ronaldo running faster than all. She stood at the edge of the pitch, cheering louder than anyone. Years later, in Lisbon, Sporting CP Academy dorms. Ronaldo sneaking out late, meeting her near the Tagus River. She handed him a simple bracelet of woven thread. "For luck," she said. He never took it off. Manchester, his first contract. Fame blooming like wildfire. She had visited once, her hand trembling in his. "Don't forget me." He promised he never would, but promises and pressure rarely coexist. The calls grew fewer. The visits stopped and in the shadow of flashing cameras and roaring crowds, she slipped into the silence of his past. His phone buzzed, snapping him back. It was Jorge Mendes, his longtime agent. "Cristiano, there's an interview offer. CNN. International. Vanessa Clark will host." Ronaldo frowned. "Vanessa? She doesn't care about football." "That's the problem," Jorge sighed. "They want you on prime time. Millions will watch. And Cristiano, she knows something. She says she has photos. She's not asking, she's hunting." Ronaldo leaned back, rubbing his face. He had faced Barcelona in Camp Nou, Champions League finals, World Cup heartbreak. Yet the thought of her name, of their secret being dragged into the world, that terrified him. Still, he nodded. "Book it. No more running." A week later, he arrived. At the studio in London. Cameras flashed, fans screamed outside, but inside was a different arena. The producer whispered as he led Ronaldo in. "She'll push you. Stay calm." The studio lights burned down like a stadium floodlight. Across the glass table sat Vanessa. Clark, sharp suit, sharper smile, eyes glinting with the thrill of the hunt. The countdown echoed in his ears. 3, 2, 1. "Good evening, Cristiano," Vanessa purred. "You've given us goals, glory, greatness. But tonight, people want to know what you've kept hidden." Ronaldo's heart thudded. He forced a smile. "Ask me about football," he said. "That's what I do." Vanessa leaned closer. "Not tonight." She slid a folder across the table. Slowly, Ronaldo opened it. Inside, a photograph stared back, the same one he kept hidden in his villa. Him, 17, arm around the girl. The audience held their breath. Vanessa's voice cut like a blade. "Who is she, Cristiano? Why has the world never known her?" The lights seemed hotter, the walls closer. For the first time in his career, Cristiano Ronaldo felt cornered. He swallowed hard. His lips trembled. The truth he had buried for decades began to claw its way out. And with a single whisper, his world started to crack. The studio air felt heavy, thick with silence. Cristiano Ronaldo stared at the photograph on the glass table. His fingers brushed its corner, trembling. "She was," his voice cracked. "Someone I never forgot." Vanessa's eyes sharpened. The audience leaned forward. This was the crack she had waited for. "Never forgot?" she pressed. "Cristiano, the world has watched you date models, raise a family, live under the brightest lights. Yet this girl, this mystery remains hidden." "Why?" Ronaldo clenched his jaw. His PR instincts screamed at him to laugh it off. But something inside him rebelled. 20 years of silence was a prison. He shook his head slowly. Because she wasn't for the cameras. She was for me. Vanessa tapped her pen against the desk, her voice calm but merciless. Cristiano, I've spoken to people. Former teammates from Lisbon, neighbors in Madeira, even your old coaches. They all remember her. They say she was more than a friend, more than just a supporter. They say she was the one person who knew Cristiano before Ronaldo. A giant screen lit up behind them. Photographs flashed. Ronaldo as a boy in sporting training gear. The girl waiting outside the gate. Ronaldo in Manchester, young and shy. Her arm looped in his. Even one blurry shot from Madrid, her silhouette at the edge of the stands. The crowd gasped. Twitter feeds exploded in real-time. Ronaldo lowered his gaze, his hands gripping the table. His heart pounded like he was standing on the penalty spot in a World Cup final. Vanessa leaned in, voice softer. Now, like a knife wrapped in silk. Tell us her name, Cristiano. Who is she? And why, after all these years, did you let her go? Silence. Ronaldo's lips trembled. His eyes glistened. The world had never seen him like this. Not the composed champion, not the untouchable icon, but a man drowning in regret. Whispered, almost too soft for the microphone. I let her go. Because I was afraid. Vanessa tilted her head. Afraid of what? Afraid, Ronaldo said, voice rising, that if I chose her, I'd lose everything else. I thought I had to sacrifice love for glory, and maybe I became the best. But every goal, every cheer, every trophy, it was empty without her. The studio froze. Even Vanessa didn't interrupt. Ronaldo reached into his pocket. Slowly, he pulled out a frayed bracelet, the same one she gave him in Lisbon. He set it gently on the glass table. Cameras zoomed in. The audience gasped again. I wore this under my wrist tape, he said. Every match, every final. She was there with me, even if no one saw. The room erupted in whispers. Crew members exchanged stunned looks. Vanessa's composure cracked for the first time. She stammered, Cristiano, are you saying? Ronaldo looked straight into the camera, his voice steady now, no longer hiding. Yes, I loved her. I love her still. She was the love of my life. The audience broke into applause, some even in tears. Social media feeds lit up with fire emojis, crying faces, and disbelief. Ronaldo admits true love on TV trended worldwide within seconds. But Ronaldo wasn't finished. He reached into his jacket again, pulling out a sealed envelope. His hands shook slightly as he slid it across the table. Inside were letters, dozens of them, written in Portuguese, never sent. I wrote to her after every move. He said, voice breaking. When I left Lisbon, when I moved to Manchester, when I scored in Madrid, when I lifted trophies, I wrote her everything, but I never had the courage to send them. The camera zoomed in on the letters, handwritten, tear-stained, faded across. Decades. Vanessa tried to regain her footing. So, where is she now? Who is she? Does she even know you're saying this? Ronaldo smiled sadly. She doesn't. She doesn't know the world is hearing this. She doesn't know I kept her. Heart safe all these years. But tonight, she will. He pulled out his phone. The studio buzzed with shock. The director signaled to cut, but the live feed continued. Ronaldo ignored everyone, scrolling through his contacts. There it was, her number. Untouched for years, but never deleted. His thumb hovered over the screen. His breath trembled. And then he pressed call. The ringtone echoed through the studio speakers. Once, twice, 3 times. The world held its breath. On the 4th ring, A voice answered, soft. Familiar? Cristiano? Ronaldo's eyes shut tight. A tear slid down his cheek. The studio, the cameras, the millions watching, they all disappeared. In that moment, it was only them. The boy from Madeira, the girl who believed in him. The studio had gone silent. The cameras rolled. The world watched. But all that mattered was the voice on the other end of the phone. Cristiano? She repeated, softer this time, almost unsure. Ronaldo's lips trembled. His throat tightened. "It's me," he whispered. "After all these years?" "It's still me." There was a pause, a rustle. The sound of her breathing filled the studio speakers. "Why now?" she asked finally, her voice carrying a mixture of pain and wonder. Ronaldo swallowed hard. "Because I've run enough. I've scored goals, lifted trophies, traveled the world. But none of it meant anything without you. I should have told you when we were kids, when you stood outside the academy waiting for me. I should have told you in Manchester, when you visited and begged me not to forget. I should have told you in Madrid, when the whole world cheered my name, but I only wanted to hear yours." His voice cracked. He lowered his head, tears falling freely. "You were the love of my life, and I was too much of a coward to admit it until now." In the audience, people wept openly. Even Vanessa Clark, the ruthless interviewer, blinked rapidly. Her composure fracturing. The control room whispered frantically, "Cut the feed, cut the feed." But the director, eyes wide, shook his head. "No, let it run." The world was witnessing history. On the phone, silence stretched. Finally, she sighed, a sound heavy with years of waiting. "Cristiano, do you know how many nights I watched you on TV, wondering if you ever thought of me? I tried to move on. I built a life. But every time you scored, every time the world shouted your name, I heard the boy from Madeira whispering mine." Ronaldo's breath caught. "Then forgive me. Please, forgive the years I stole from us. Forgive my fear." Her voice softened. "Cristiano, I never stopped loving you. But love isn't just words. It's choices. Will you choose me now, after all this time?" Ronaldo lifted his head, looking straight into the camera. His eyes blazed with conviction. "Yes," he said firmly. "In front of the whole world. Tonight, I choose you." The studio erupted. Applause thundered. Some stood on their feet, clapping, crying. Vanessa leaned back, stunned, realizing she hadn't destroyed him. She had given him the stage to reclaim his heart. The call ended with a promise. "Come home," she whispered. Weeks later, in Lisbon, reporters crowded outside a modest house. The door opened. Ronaldo stepped out, and beside him, hand in hand, was the woman from the photograph. The girl, from his youth now grown, her eyes shining with the same light as before. Flashbulbs exploded. The world gasped. But Ronaldo didn't care. For once, the cameras could take what they wanted. His truth was no longer hidden. That night, back inside, Ronaldo sat at the table with her. The same bracelet between them, the same photograph resting on the counter. He smiled, not the practiced smile for fans or sponsors, but a real one. For the first time, he whispered, "I feel like I won." She squeezed his hand, and as the screen faded to black, the echo of stadiums roared, not for goals, not for trophies, but for a man who finally chose love.